Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a quick word from one of our sponsors, Apax Lab. Elevate your coffee experience with Apax Lab mineral concentrates. Apax Lab's precision-engineered formulas, including tonic, jam, and lilac, are designed to enhance the coffee's natural flavors. Not going to change it, it's just going to enhance it. It's going to bring out the vibrant acidity, the rich sweetness, or if you use lilac, it might bring out those delicate floral notes that you've been looking for. Trusted by world-class cafes and even barista champions, Apax Lab helps you unlock your coffee's full potential. Discover more at apaxlab.com. Wait, where was that again, Sonam?
The internet.
Oh, okay. Thought I was going to say the website. Thanks. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors at Eco Barista. The reason I sound like this is because they got massages at our stand at Mice, and so I'm getting a massage while recording this message for you. They're the best sponsor of the pod that we could have had. They have the best eco products. This probably sounds really pornographic, but it's not. I'm just getting a massage. They have the best eco-friendly coffee products. They got coffee bags that you can design yourself. They got cups. They got iced coffee cups. They got everything you need. So make sure to support them because they support us. Head to ecobarista.com.au and get 15% off your first purchase when you sign up. Oh, mama, that's good.
Okay.
And we're live at another coffee break. We got the main man himself here. And I can officially say it as well because it was officially disclosed in our Starbucks episode. Ro Daddy is finally a daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It finally makes sense why you're calling me daddy all the time now.
Exactly. Now it's official.
Yeah.
It's official. Look, I know you, like we said that we're going to deep dive.
Yeah.
Fatherhood and business and, Mufasa energy on an episode to come with.
Oh, God, I hope not Mufasa energy. Me dying as my son watches me get trampled.
All of the light. Except
everything the light touches is now yours.
Every espresso that is made was because of you, son.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Hey, that's your first pod done.
Yep, first pod in the books. Good to be back. I've got a refound energy.
Do you?
Well, an energy to make the pod great. I don't have a refound energy because, as they say, it's true. Babies don't sleep very much or are up a lot. So we're dealing with that. But he's been a sweet little angel. I love it. I, couldn't ask for anything more. It's a little different sometimes at 3 a.m. in the morning and they won't go back to sleep. It's a bit frustrating. But then you just look at their little faces and these little helpless creatures that you're caring for, and you're like, oh, I love you so much. You're just a little monkey.
You're just a little monkey.
You're just a little baby mate.
What a massive upbringing. And I feel like you already slept pretty badly anyway because you're always working and you're always doing your thing.
It's you definitely adjust very quickly to the amount of hours that you need. Like, it went from beforehand, I'd be like, 6 hours is kind of like the minimum I want to get, like to feel okay. Now I'm like 4 hours is kind of that window where I'm like, if I get 4 hours, I can make it through the day. On the few days that I've had under that, it's pretty brutal. When we're in the hospital, it was even worse. There were nights where it was like, in a 48-hour window at one point, I slept 2 hours when we're in the hospital, and you're a shell of a human at that point, You can't even form sentences, and you're trying to make like major decisions with your baby and partner and all this kind of stuff. It's a whirlwind in there.
Are you? I can't. I want your takeaways and all those things to kind of be there for the pod. But you're at a kind of place of normalcy now. Like you got a.
Yeah, we're back at home. I mean, it's, as they said after COVID, it's the new normal. Yeah, just adjusting. Now, the hard part is going to be coming into work. I took 4 weeks to just be with my little man and with my partner and to kind of like, embrace that family living and doing that. And it was fun. Like in those days when I was woken up at 3 a.m, if he wouldn't go down, I'm like, okay, I'm up. And you'd put on a show and I'd sit there with him and try to soothe him. And I'm like, knowing that the next day I didn't have anything apart from like family or people wanting to drop over, I could manage that. Now on the days when I'm coming into work and he won't go to sleep at 3 a.m, you start to like dread every hour that passes, every moment. The other day when we came in for a full shoot day, the night before, went down at 11, woke up at 1, and then wouldn't sleep for the entirety of the night. And I finally got him down at 8 a.m. So after being up for 7 hours with him, and then I'm like, well, I can't go back to sleep now because even half an hour will just wreck me. So I'll just have to go straight into work. So those ones are every hour that passes, you're like, just go to sleep. You have to go to sleep. Like I need to be up in 3 hours, in 2 hours, in 1 hour. So those ones are tough. I think integrating back into work will be the tough part for me and my partner. But also from the other side, like that's fine. That's life. You adjust and you live. Like I couldn't be happier. I don't know. It completely changes you. There's a flip, parents will completely understand that. Everyone else, I know I was sitting in your seats for people who don't have kids when people would say these sentences to me, like it completely changes you with this and that. You're like, okay, cool. All right. But yeah, you can't really understand it until you live through it.
Well, seeing Mama Bear come through as well. She had a glow.
Oh yeah, she looks amazing. She's been incredible. Like, what women go through in that whole process is astonishing. And there were so many parts that I looked at her and I was like, I couldn't go through what you've just gone through. Everything from not just the birth, but like from before it, from after it, like the toll that it takes on your body is astonishing. And so props to all the mums out there that have done it. You're amazing.
One of these for the mums.
Yeah. They deserve it. That writes everything in the world.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
But what a podcast, talking to Starbucks. It's so interesting in our line of work that we get to kind of cover all gamuts of the coffee industry from specialty all the way through to Starbucks, especially with their interesting story in Australia and how it all kind of is coming about. What was your takeaways from it? How did you feel?
Oh, man, I think it was just cool to get like a mega, it's not like a big roaster or a big, like we've been lucky enough to have some huge names, huge like personalities here that are like Melbourne centric, but to go to a global scale of like, we went through Mice. I actually wanted to play some of the reels we got from Mice, which was like, what's one thing you would say to Starbucks?
Oh.
And we got like a gamut of responses from all of our friends and different people that were at Mice. And the actual resounding sentiment, by the way, was actually really positive. So I kind of wanted to show Nick and to be like, because Nick was like, God, everyone thinks that they kind of hate us, like, in the coffee world. Like we're, especially here in Melbourne, we love our coffee. And so fast coffee seems like a lower quality. And there's like this, I don't know, just the branding. The whole point of him coming, he's like, we actually all love coffee.
Yeah.
And I loved the fact that he was like, every Monday we bring in coffee when we do a tasting. In the middle of our center, our middle table, we have like tasting notes and we like,
Yeah, and I think that care is what you want to hear and know from that bigger kind of partner. Because like, let's be honest, we're not blowing smoke up people's asses here with like what it is. Starbucks is a chain and there is many of them, and they can provide the best service at what they do and try to create a great experience for that. It's not specialty coffee. It's not your local roaster. It's a completely different thing. And I think people can be smart enough to separate those markets from, you're not expecting to go into like a Proud Mary or a Code Black or whatever and get the same experience. That's not what it is. It is quick, fast service, and you just want it to be of a certain quality, especially when you're ordering like large lattes and that kind of stuff. It's like, making sure that the milk is well textured and it's the right temperature and all those kind of things. And it's the right ratio of coffee is going to be the important things, not the delicate tasting notes. Even though I think they do all like reserve stuff and they have other options, but it is we all need to be smart enough to separate them and know that these are different things for different people in different circumstances.
For sure. On that note, just before I forget, because I see you sipping on a beautiful little coffee here, we are here at a coffee break, and it's Rose's first time back. And so we've actually, I know for anyone that's been listening, I'm going for my little stint in the AeroPress world. It's going to be special. It's going to be good.
Special being the operative word.
Me getting taught some very basic fundamentals on how to brew and how to use an AeroPress properly. But the recipe we are doing today is by Charlene de Bussier.
De Bussier.
De Bussier, Buysere.
De Bussy.
De Bussier from Belgium.
Yeah.
And that was my Belgium accent.
Perfect. Spot on. I thought gorgeous. I was there.
And it was interesting because I guess, look, the standard stuff was, it was 18.3 grams.
Big dose.
It was a big dose. Course, water 250 grams, mils, sorry. And we're just doing the brewer the normal way. Paper, rinsed. And the main thing was we let it brew for 30 seconds, did 40 grams, and then poured the rest through and immediately pushed straight through.
So my assumption with what's happening here with this recipe, normal recipes will use a lower dose, finer grind size, and they'll use immersion, meaning the coffee will sit in the water for a longer period of time. And that's the general kind of method of using an AeroPress. What I think they've done here is they've taken the coffee, they've ground coarser, but they've used a much higher dose so that you're extracting those earlier stages from the coffee rather than like a long immersion style. So the higher dose is going to bring more flavor. And then they're doing the bloom, but then filling it up and pressing straight away. There's no immersion time. So pretty much it's just pass through the entire time. Yeah, interesting method.
And the beans we're using are I've got this like fun little see-through vac-sealed Willy beans.
So we could die after this because when I was at Mice a while ago, I just had a guy come up to me and go, "Hey, I got something for you." And he pulled it out. I'm like, "Oh, cool, coffee, I'll take this." He's like, yeah, this is something I've roasted up. I'm like, "What is it?" He's like, "I'm not telling."
Mystery baggy.
Maybe it was a geisha. I'm not sure, but I don't really know what it is, other than it's from Willy Beans in Queensland.
Willie's Beans, committed to supporting coffee farmers. We import and distribute their exceptional specialty coffee beans straight from the farm to your cup. Yeah, in Queensland, Burleigh. So let's give it a little sip out of our coffee weekender sippy cup.
Let's do it.
I get that heirloomy, tomatoey acid kind of, don't you dare laugh at me, Rowan. That is real. I am tasting those things. How dare you? Here I am trying to use the correct vernacular.
Yeah, there you go. Heirloom it. This tastes like a bloody caprese salad. I'm getting mozzarella, basil.
You know what? It would pair well. Another takeaway from Starbucks is like pairing things.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like,
back to the coffee. I think this is nice. I think it's quite juicy. There's like a lot of acidity coming through. Feels a little hollow on the end for me, but like I think it's got some nice floral notes coming through. Nice bit of citrus, juicy.
You're just trying to avoid saying that it's got that tomato acidity.
It's got a lot of tomato acidity coming through on that. I think it's pretty nice. I don't know if I'd throw it through as the world champion AeroPress right there. Who knows if that's the brewing method? Who knows if it's Liam sneezing into it?
Look, we executed it so perfectly to find out that I didn't clean the jug that it was going into. And by clean it, I mean maybe there was some coffee grounds in there.
There were some nice chunks in my coffee when I went to have it the first time. All right. I think that's really interesting. I think next time let's go for like a polar opposite method just so we can have like a real clear kind of distinction of like body, tasting notes, how it kind of comes together in the cup, the balance across it.
I'm down. Any off the top of the head? Like what do you mean by like coffee choice? like beans or like technique or all the above?
Technique. I think just using a completely different method, one that uses further immersion, finer grind size, and just kind of seeing the parallels. Obviously, when you use a different coffee, but just to kind of like this is juicy, bright, acidity, super clean. And that's obviously through the brew method of using that coarser grind and that pass through with a higher dose. And I know that the AeroPress Championships, like there was a time when everyone started using these super high doses, but they've actually pulled back on that to make it more of an even playing field because people were just going wild high doses. And of course it was like super bright and in your face and these like, oh yeah, super punchy and just a different experience. But I know they've like pulled back on that to kind of level out that playing field a bit.
Sure. There's a few things like that. Hey, I remember when Tim Williams was on, told me I don't think you're allowed to do the inverted method.
Oh, you're not?
Is that right? I could be spouting some absolute. I'm pretty sure you can't do inverted.
Yeah.
Like, because.
God, everyone thought that was so cool when they started doing the inverted. They were just, this is it. And then just spilling coffee everywhere. I think the biggest thing is like, do whatever you want, like what works. In a setting of making like lots of them, you just want consistency. You want to be able to easily replicate it. Inverted just causes a lot of problems.
You're all from Mork last week. He starts his day with an XL AeroPress every day. Yeah, we tried his recipe last week and it was the same thing. He's just like, I just want it to be easy and everything. The more I drink AeroPress, the more I actually like them. They've got such a Sonam hit it the other week saying like mouthfeel is really like different. Yeah. I love filter coffees, but like in AeroPress, there's this kind of viscosity to it.
More texture. It's a different textural change there. Yeah, AeroPress has to be one of the easiest, most repeatable kind of ones to do out of all the methods, as well as like traveling. Like I said, there's nothing better than like taking a sick coffee, even pre-ground, like camping with you and making an AeroPress in like the wilderness. And you're like, I'm drinking one of the best coffees I've ever, and it tastes so much better just sitting in that situation. Jumping back to Starbucks quickly.
Yes.
I'm wearing my La Marzocco jacket as we speak right now. And I found out an interesting story that I'm sure if you spoke to Starbucks would be different. But La Marzocco can actually attribute their success in the US to Starbucks. So La Marzocco was just in Italy. And when Starbucks started turning into the coffee chain, they wanted high-end quality machines. And that's where the Linear Classic came in. So they started importing the Linear Classic. Every Starbucks had a Linear Classic in it. And that was when it kind of was pushed into the market. And then for consistency, Starbucks wanted to start moving to a more automated machine. Now, La Marzocco claim that they got asked to do it and were like, no, we can't ruin the integrity of the coffee machine in doing it. My theory would more so be that they didn't have the tech available to bring automation to their machines. That's just my theory. But regardless, La Marzocco stepped away and pulled away and Starbucks went with a different partner. But then overnight, Starbucks just needed to get rid of all these Linear Classics. And there are stories of just Linear Classics sitting in the laneways and dumpsters behind Starbucks, and people were getting rid of them. And that kind of birthed this secondhand Linear Classic market in the US, where all these smaller independent coffee shops started picking up these secondhand Linear Classics. And that's how they started spreading across the States and making their way into all these cafes and then kind of becoming the industry standard over there. So maybe it was like better for La Marzocco that they got dropped, because then they started making their way into all these cafes, and now they're one of the biggest and most relied on, coffee machines in all of the US.
That's insane. I'm also thinking about like just the cycle process of like big companies like that and how they implement kind of switching in tech and what they do with them. Like, is there a full operation now? Like, and like, was that capitalized? Were cafes like literally like, I found a Linear?
Yeah.
And then they were like, we're starting a cafe. I
don't know where the steps in. I mean, what a huge undertaking that like overnight every single shop is like, we're getting rid of our machines and just taking this one, like putting in this new automated one.
Speaking of the automated ones, they sound insane.
Oh, yeah.
3 hoppers going into one machine that automatically tamps and knows which blend and which yield.
They've got like a full studio that I want to go in and crank out on this thing and give it a go.
Out in there?
Yeah, we'll crank out. Well, you know what we'll do. But yeah, it's.
Hopefully the paps aren't there.
Yeah. Hopefully Pedro's not getting a pap.
He's not getting a pap shot.
Getting papped is terminology, all right? You can get papped.
Cranking one out for the paps,
It's kind of funny because all the tech that we're seeing in like automation and grinders now is like in these Starbucks machines and being like touted as all this amazing stuff where they're like, yeah, our machine grinds, tamps, and then based on the shot, it then adjusts the grind to match within the perfect time frame of extraction, and it gives you a little star if it's within that mark. So it's like, no, that's where the world is leading to now. But in other cafes, we just have a barista moving the portafilter from thing to thing is the main difference rather than the machine tamping it for you.
Interesting that like the whole Starbucks has been implementing all this like amazing tech. And I guess the biggest argument, like, and I mean, this is all to do with AI and like, I know that's tech forward in general. The biggest kind of argument is that it gives more time for that connection, which is one of their huge pillars. Nick went so deep on that. But like, do you feel like that's the case, like with more automation and that's allowed them to make their menu even bigger and like, you know what I mean?
Oh man, sure. They are all about connection and doing that, but let's look at them. They're a giant company that have shops everywhere. The main thing is that you need to provide consistency. You can't go into a Starbucks in one place and go to a Starbucks somewhere else and have it taste completely different. Even if one's better or worse, or one barista thinks that they're making the coffee better, people need to have the same experience shop to shop as much as possible. It's the same with McDonald's and their chicken nuggets. You can go to a McDonald's anywhere in the world and you're going to get the same shaped chicken nugget with the same breading and it's going to taste pretty much the same. And that's what people can kind of depend on when they're doing that. So yes, it leads to the customer experience, but that's the benefit that you get if you are a small independent coffee shop is you can make the experience that you want and serve the coffee in the way that you want it to be served. They do that as well, but it's just on a much higher level that then trickles down across the entire globe.
So cool.
Even with the coffee roast, they have their Starbucks signature, they have their blonde roast, they have whatever. Like they need to work within the parameters of what they have so that they can supply a consistent experience to their customers. And that makes sense on a giant chain level like that.
I wish we could have deep dive more on that process of how they like maintain their blends, maintain consistency.
Yeah.
What they pull and push. I chatting with the Mork team last week, even chat like, the specialty side of chocolate and how like each season and batch, it's like wine, from a vineyard. It's like they're the same grapes, the same thing, but from a different harvest, have a completely different flavor. It's like, well, then you think about the bigs like Lindt and like all those things. And same thing with coffee, going over this for Starbucks. It's like, how do you maintain that consistency when all the yield's going to be different? It's crazy.
Yeah, and they have to change it to match. Whereas like, a small independent coffee shop might be like, I want you to taste the seasonal variations or the year-to-year variations in this coffee so that you can see what happened to it. And like, hey, this year it's not as good, but that's because there was too much rain and like whatever happened.
These ones are wet. We had some bugs eat that. You'll notice that there's a...
But, you see dairy farms, like some of the top dairy farms in the world, rather than like cows just being out in the field eating grass. I know when I was younger working as a barista, there'd be sometimes, I think was it in winter or in spring? There was a certain time of year where you'd try to steam the milk and it would just have bubbles everywhere.
Yes.
And no matter what you did and how well you steamed it, there'd be bubbles. And then sometimes there's a weird taste. And it's because the cows are eating, the grass is different or they're eating like different things in it. Sometimes they'll eat stuff that makes it taste like oniony or whatever, like really awful. Whereas now dairy farms are creating like balanced mixtures with specific ratios of certain amount of things in them so that all year round the consistency of milk is there. Whereas if they're just eating out in the field, it's the variations is crazy.
Yeah, I remember working one of my cafes and the same thing. I was like, what's going on? And one of them, the milk reps told me that.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing ever. And I loved it.
Yeah. Now, I've got a really important coffee question that I wanted to ask you. Have you been watching The Studio?
No.
Oh, my God. Okay. This show, so good. It's on Apple TV if you have it. Seth Rogen doing it. This is just me talking about a show because I want to, because I've been watching a lot of TV with the child. It is so good. It's basically like insight into what it's like making movies in Hollywood, in LA. And Seth Rogen is like a big film studio exec. And each episode is like a completely different topic that like people would have to deal with. But the craft of it is amazing. Like so many of the shots are oneers. And a oneer is basically where the one camera follows, think Birdman, like, you know, it's all like one scene, which means the rehearsals are insane because you got to do it like a play where it's like you got to know where the camera's moving and you see the behind the scenes and it's like this camera is like the guy's got it. He's walking. As they're talking, people run in, attach it to a drone. They're talking. Camera takes off, flies across the studio, lands as like a car is pulling into a garage and they click it off and then they clip it onto the car. Then the car drives off and the camera's behind them talking. It is like a thing of beauty, like how they execute this show. And it's also very funny. If you're a film nerd, it's like very inside like kind of the makings of films and lots of, you know, very meta in the way that it kind of approaches everything. And it's bloody great.
That's a beautiful segue for me.
Oh, here you go. I've been watching Kurosaka's blah, blah, blah.
How dare you? No, as the Jamie Oliver of coffee, my sweet daddy-o.
Yeah.
Have you watched the new season of Chef's Table?
No, with Jamie Oliver. I
Oliver.
was looking at the looking at the trailer for it and it looks bloody good.
I mean, God, it's beautiful. But I actually wanted to steer you towards, I think her name is Alice. It's Alice Waters. She's the person who developed the from farm to table kind of thing. And she's pretty much the reason that there's grass-fed beef on menus. Are you serious? What?
I mean, do you need to answer it? It feels like an answer it. Let's see what it is. I want to say live on the pod. You're going to have to do a lot of editing in this episode,
Oh, God, yeah. Last week it was Kirill's camera. I'll apologize now for anyone that was on the mock or watching the mock episode. Kirill's camera turned on and off. So I was like, there was a little thing that came up and said, 1 of 4 times that Kirill's camera died. Luckily, you know, Josephine was chatting every single time. But
all right, anyway. Alice Waters, what were you saying?
Alice Waters. Anyway, she is an incredible, she pioneered that kind of farm to table. And just her episode made me like, gave me goosebumps. It's beautiful, beautifully shot. But there's something about the fact that in her Michelin star restaurant, for dessert, what comes out is a bowl of fruit. Not prepared, not anything, chosen. And everyone's like...
Lazy.
Exactly. Everyone goes, lazy, this is crazy. And then they're like, hold on a second, wait a second. Everything is seasonal, everything. And it's like, I've never had fruit so perfect.
Yeah.
And everything. Anyway, the whole culture bar, I think you will love it. And it's just so beautiful.
Well, I mean, Bray is very much like that, which is a local place here where it's like you literally do a tour of their whole property with everything growing and you see all the produce that you're about to eat. And so then when it is given to you, it is in its simplest, purest form so that you can kind of taste what you're having in that seasonal approach to it.
Yeah.
Coffee news. Little coffee news for you. Oh, we got that going.
I needed to do it. I haven't done it for a while. Sonam's too speedy with
actually, he rolls straight in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. This isn't much. I just searched coffee news and thought this was funny. Greek woman leaves her husband based on ChatGPT reading her coffee grounds. So like a tea reading, I guess, she uploaded a picture of her coffee grounds into ChatGPT to give her a like predictive reading of the future. And the grounds predicted that her husband was having an affair with someone starting with the name E and committing adultery in the relationship. She then 3 days later, served him divorce papers and they're now battling it out in court where their lawyer is claiming you can't use ChatGPT to predict infidelity. I guess she's trying to use it to...
Was she right, though? That's the question.
I know.
Was he like, how did you know? And then she goes...
We'll follow this story closely to find out whether he really did commit adultery.
In response, he also had his tea leaves read.
All right. I think that brings us to the end of the coffee break. Starbucks, what an interesting ep. We've got some great episodes coming up. You can hit us at all the places that you know. Hello at itsjustcoffeepod.com. You can hit us on the socials. We've got some good episodes coming up. I want to get Tanner on. That'd be a great episode to get. I think it'd be good to talk to him about balancing the life of dad and making coffee on the internet. What a hard balance of dadhood.
It was lovely to have you back.
Oh, thank you so much. It was lovely to be back.
Sonam's the worst.
I know. I hate that guy.
God, what a horrible man. Yeah. Get rid of him.
Smells really bad.
Amazing. Well, congratulations from all of us.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
I feel
you so
like this is
much.
an official kind of thing. And yeah, happy to have you back.
Thank you so much. Good to be back. We'll see you next week, guys.
Bye.